Good evening everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So here today we are going to be adding and subtracting radicals. So how are you going to be adding and subtracting your radicals? So this is the way we go about it. Let's say for example you have the 6 square root of 2, then you are required to add it to 7 plus the square root of 2. So the way radicals are, as long as you have the same root, you just get whatever coefficient are outside and adds them algebraically, either add or subtract. So this is the same as having 6 plus 7, which can be equal to 6 plus 7 will give us a 13. So we are going to have 13, then we have the square root of 2. For the sake of understanding, this is the same as having this 6 and 7. Let's say we factorize square root of 2. So this is the same as having square root of 2. Then what remains is a 6 plus a 7. So when we add this 6 plus 7, we are going to have 13, which will be square root of 2 times a 13, which will be 13 square root of 2, like that. So it's very important to understand that. So we are just going to be adding or subtracting normally. Let's say for our B we have 3 cube root of 2 plus 5 cube root of another 2, then we have minus 7 cube root of a 2. So what we are going to do is we are going to just do the needful. So we have 4 plus 5, this gives us 9. So we can write 9 cube root of a 2. So we just take one of these. Then we have minus a 7 cube root of 2. So we are going to have 9 minus 7, which will be our 2 cube root of 2, like that. So that is how we go about that one. Let's see now. Let's try now. Let's say we have this problem. So what are we going to do? So same approach. Now the problem here is what is in the brackets is different. So what are we going to do? So we are simply going to make sure that the least radical that we have is the, or rather the third that we have is the square root of 3. So we must express 48 and 12 in terms of square root of 3. So 12 can be written as, if you haven't watched my previous video, kindly watch so that you know how to break this down. So the square root of 12 is the same as having 4 times my 3 there. Then we have minus 3. The square root of 48 is the same as having 16 times 3, which will still give you 48. Then we have plus 3 square root of 3, like that. Then we can split this square root. So we are going to have 2 square root of 4 times the square root of 3, like that. Then we have minus, this is the same as 3. Then it can be broken down to square root of 16 times the square root of 3, like that. Then we have plus 3 the square root of 3, like that. So square root of 4 is 2. So we are going to have 2 times 2. So we can put 2, square root of 4 is 2. Then we have times the square root of 3, like that. Then we have minus 3. The square root of 16 will give you 4. Then we have times the square root of 3, like that. Then we have plus 3 square root of 3. So at least if you see this, it means to say we are going in the right direction. So we are going to have 2 times 2, it will give us a 4. Then we have the square root of 3, like that. 3 times 4, we are going to have minus a 12, like that. 3 times 4 is 12. Then we have the square root of 3. Then plus 3 square root of 3, like that. So we are going to be having, so as long as we have that now, we can be able to add or subtract normally. So our 4 minus 12 will give us negative 8 square root of 3. Then we have plus 3 square root of 3. So when we add negative 8 plus 3, we are going to have our negative 5. Then we are going to have our square root of 3 as our answer. Let's move on to another problem. So let's say we have this problem. So we are going to be answering it in parts. So we are first going to evaluate what the square root of 16x to the 4th into its smallest radical form. So this one is the same as So we have the cube root of our 16 x to the power of 4. So this one is the same as having the cube root of our 16. Let's use the one that has got a perfect cube root is 8. So we have 8 times 2 times our x to the power of 3 times x. So after doing this, we are going to have the cube root of our 8 times the cube root of our 2. Then we have times the cube root of our x to the power of 3. And finally, we can split this into the cube root of our x like that. So when we do that, the cube root of 8 will give us a 2. Then we have times the cube root of a 2. Then we have this power 3 and this one will cancel each other like that. So we are going to have times an x. Then we have the cube root times the cube root of our x like that. So we are going to end up with this situation. So we are going to multiply 2 times x. It will give us a 2x. Then we have times the cube root of our 2 times the cube root of our x like that. So we have 2x. What is inside can multiply as long as you have the same cube root. So we are going to say times the cube root of our 2 times x. It will be a 2x, which will be equal to, we have a 2x, then we have the cube root of our 2x like that. So doing this means that you have doing this means to say you have expressed that one. Let's also now take the other part, which was our cube root now of 54. We have x to the power of 4 like that. So we are going to simplify this one to be equal to, we have, this is the same as having the cube root of a 27. So since 27 has got a perfect cube root, then we have times our x to the power of 3 times our x. So all we want is looking at which ones have got the perfect cube roots. That's the main idea. So this is the same as to the power 3 times x, so that it returns you back to that. We have forgotten times a 2 since we have to maintain the meaning. 2 times 27 will give you 54. So now this one can further be simplified into the cube root of, we are going to have a 27 like that, times the cube root of our x to the power of 3, then times the cube root of our x. So remember, the cube roots can be distributed throughout, so each one should have a cube root. Then finally we have the cube root of a 2 like that. So each number has got a cube root. So the cube root of 27 is simply 3. The cube root of x to the power 3 is x, because this and this will cancel each other. So we are going to have times x there. Then we have times the cube root of our x. Then we have times the cube root of our 2 there. Then we are going to have 3 times x. We are going to have 3x. Then x times 2, it will be the cube root of our x times 2, which will be our 2x like that. So that means to say we have converted that one as well. Let's look at our last part, which is the cube root also of negative 128 x to the power 4. So this one can be written as our the cube root of the same as negative 1 times 128. Then x to the power 4 can be written as times x to the power 3 times our x like that. So looking at as 128, it can be a further split. So we have the cube root of, we have a negative 1 times a 64 times 2, because 64 has got a perfect cube root, which is 4. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. then we have times our x to the power of 3 times our x, like that. Then we are going to distribute this cube root. So we are going to have the cube root of -1 times the cube root of 64 times the cube root of our 2 times the cube root of our x to the power of 3 times the cube root of our x, like that. So we are going to find the cube root of -1 is equal to -1. The cube root of 64 is equal to 4. The cube root of 2, there we can simplify it, so we are going to write 3 cube roots of 2. Then this one and this one will cancel, so we are going to have times our x, then we have times the cube root of our x, like that. So we are going to now, what do we have? So negative, what is outside can multiply, so we have -1 times 4, we are going to have -4. Then -4 times this x, which is outside, -4x. Then we are going to have times the cube root of our 2 times the cube root of our x, like that. So combining them, we are going to have -4x, like that. Then the cube root of our 2, so what is inside can multiply, so this is the same as 2 times x, which is our 2x, like that. Yeah, so this is what we have. So you can verify to say what is outside are like terms, 2x, 4x, and 3x are like terms. Even what is inside is the same. So what we are going to do now is substitute the values of that. So when we substitute, where there is 16, we are going to put this. So we are going to say it will be equal to 2x, then the cube root of, we have our 2x, like that. Then where there is this one, we are going to put this. So we have plus our 3x, then we have the cube root of our 2x, like that. Then we are going to have minus, which we have here, minus. Then we also have a minus here, so we have to put it in brackets. So we have minus 4x, like that. Then we have the cube root of our 2x, like that. So when we do that, we can now simplify. So as long as they are like terms, first let's be able to open the brackets. So we have 2x, cube root of, we have our 2x, then also we have plus our 3x, like that. Then we have the cube root of our 2x, like that. Then we have negative times negative, it will be a positive. We have 4x, then we have the cube root of our 2x, like that. So we can now add normally 2 plus 3, that's 5, plus 4, that's 9. So we are going to write a 9x, then maintain everything. So we have the cube root of 2x. So that's that about radicals. Thank you very much for watching my video. Hope you would like, subscribe, and share for more. Don't forget to comment any topic that you want.